Mirasee.
I'm Nancy Juetten, and you're listening to Making It. I run a business called Get Known, Get Paid, and we help messengers and experts book themselves on the right podcast without hiring an expensive booking agency, so they're never hungry for an audience ever again. When I was 9 years old, I wrote a letter to the president of the Tootsie Pop Corporation, and I told him how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop. And a few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail with a gilded certificate, and it said, very few people on earth know how many licks it takes to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop, but this certificate belongs to one of the few who do. And there I was, 9 years old, feeling important for the very first time because someone with a CEO title wrote to me personally in response to something that I wrote to him initially. And I knew at 9 years old that I was supposed to use words either on paper or through my voice to make a difference for other people. And I've been doing that my entire life. I remember sitting around the table with a bunch of CEOs at a bank, and they had all kinds of big things they were trying to do. And I said, well, I really need to understand who you are and why you're the best leader for this initiative to go forward. And the banker would say, well, the usual stuff. I went to Pacific Coast Banking School. I've got a degree from the University of Washington. I've been working in banking all my life. And I said, and you just sound like every other banker on the planet. You know that, don't you? And they said, well, yeah, I guess so. I said, well, why don't we differentiate so you can stand out and make your bigger impact? And so I created a whole system around helping people to articulate what makes them special and different. And then I had to take my creative brain and say, how could I break this down into 5 easy steps so anyone around the world could also do it? So I codified the system, wrote a book about it, and sold thousands and thousands and thousands of copies, and also got invited to speak about it again and again and again. Amen. So you could say that for decades, I've been helping people to articulate who they are, why they're special, what makes them different, preferred, and unique. I think that the people we're here to help are often a mirror image of the people we are ourselves. I am a speaker, expert, author, messenger, thought leader who wants to be seen, heard, celebrated, and compensated for my expertise. And what do you know? Those tend to be my clients too. Another thing I've learned about niching is never try to make not your people your people. You always know when you're dealing with someone that's not your person. And over time, I've learned to trust my gut and say, you know what? I'm sure you're awesome in every good way, but I just have a feeling we're not perfect co-collaborators. And so let's leave it at that. Trust your gut. Don't try to make not your people your people. It's really good advice. Motherhood made me start my business. I had been in corporate America for 15, 20 years, rose up to director of marketing at a quick service restaurant chain, really enjoyed that work. But when my son was born, there's a phrase of people living these quiet lives of desperation. And what I remember feeling and experiencing with my husband is that you'd wake up early, you'd get the baby ready for daycare, he'd spit up, you'd have to get him redressed, get yourself redressed, take him to daycare, go to the job, put on the dog at the job, repeat the process, come home, numb out, go to bed, do it the same the next day and the next day. And I thought, if I have to do 18 years of this, I'm not going to make it. So it was the birth of my son that gave me the reason to create a business of my own that would allow me to work my brilliance with clients and still manage what it was all about to raise a young family. I've been thinking about this question, when do you make it? And I think one of the best books I've read recently is Michelle Obama's book, Becoming. It's an international bestseller, but here's a woman who was an attorney, who ran a nonprofit, who became the First Lady of the United States of America, who has since gone on to accomplish all kinds of amazing things. Her concept in this book, Becoming, is that we're never complete, we're never done, we're becoming. And so I feel very proud of what I've accomplished so far, but I always try to think about who I am becoming as I move along. I'm never complete. I'm never going to be done. So making it is always being on the path to mastery. Making it is always giving more than I receive. Making it is having a belief that what people say about me when I leave the room will be favorable to my reputation, and that I will have earned the respect of peers and colleagues and clients for having gone the extra mile in service to their success. I think what's important to us is important to us whether it makes good economic sense or not. For me, a core value is generosity. Be generous. Go the extra mile. A lot of that comes from perhaps a core wound of not being seen, heard, and celebrated as a kid, and knowing what it feels like to be discounted or overlooked. So to the extent that I can help other people feel seen and heard and acknowledged and appreciated, it heals something in me, but it gives something to others at the same time. It's the ultimate win-win-win. So generosity is a secret ingredient. It's a core value. Whatever your core values are, you will hold true to them, whether it makes good economic sense or not. I will never regret being generous. But if I had been scarce or punishing or any of these other kinds of things, I would regret that. Be the kind of client, joint venture partner, and human being you most want to attract into your life and work, and let the rest take care of itself. If you approach things from a stingy perspective, is it any surprise that you're getting a stingy response? Be the kind of client you most want to attract. Be the kind of human being you most want to be in relationship with. Build your audience every day. Be the kind of guest that will be the host's favorite from the very first point of contact, because one good host typically has many friends that they can be referral partners to, where one good interview could lead to 10 more, in addition to other introductions that could be incredibly fruitful. If you're always working your own agenda, isn't any wonder that you're alone in your own room. So learn to listen and pay attention to what other people's needs so that you can find a way to express a way to support that. And what do you know, your own needs might find themselves more easily met, far more readily than you ever thought possible. I'm Nancy Juetten, and you've been listening to Making It. Check out what I've got brewing at www.podcastvisibilitylivelab.com.
Making It is part of the Mirasee FM podcast network, which also includes such shows as Course Lab and Once Upon a Business. This episode of Making It was assembled by Jeff Govertson. Cynthia Lamb produced the episode. Danny Bermond is our associate producer. Danny Iny is our executive producer. Post-production by Post Office Sound. To catch the great episodes that are coming up on Making It, go ahead and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening right now. And if you like the show, please leave us a starred review. It's the best way to help us get these ideas to more people. Thank you. We'll see you next time.